Nodcry has finally been released, and I couldn't be more excited to tell you all about the new features in Genshin Impact. If you pulled for any Natlan units with enhanced exploration mechanics, I have great news for you. Now you have more incentive to pull for their C6 because we're no longer in their favorite region. So make sure to mark your calendars for their reruns so you don't miss them. And if you can't predict their reruns, then you aren't a real Genshin player anyways, and you don't deserve their C6. But remember, just in case you don't feel like stopping after their C6, you can go up to C9 in order to get level 100. How thoughtful of the devs to think this far ahead. It's just incredible to see what such sharp minds can do. Anyways, it's only right I give Nodcry the proper introduction it deserves. So let's take a look at what we've all been waiting for. Okay, so for some reason I could not find the actual introduction cutscene for Nodcry. Wait, I'm getting word from my manager. You said this wasn't a fan-made animation? Bruh. This animation was actually made by a billion-dollar company that doesn't care about the money? Oh, that makes more sense. That makes more sense. I wouldn't spend $1 on something that puts in this little effort into their game. Now, I won't lie, some parts of Nodcry looks beautiful, and of course there are some areas that aren't so much, but I thought I'd see a lot more excitement for Nodcry. I think people and even avid Genshin fans themselves are realizing the little amount of effort that these devs are putting into this GoFundMe project. If you didn't play Genshin Impact, there's absolutely no chance that you'd think this was an important character. In fact, this is a Fatui Harbinger, but whatever, somebody may like this character design. Maybe I'm still just salty that Capitano is a glorified NPC and we've been knowing about him for years, but Mauika just got introduced in Natlan and got the Gojo treatment. It's funny because people tell me all the time, you were right about Genshin, you actually predicted what's going down in this next patch. And well, the thing is, it's not really that hard to predict what these devs are gonna do. Just think about the most predatory thing that a gacha company could possibly do to get the most money out of an audience, but not be so crazy to the point where there can't be any defense for it. For example, the level 100 fiasco. You get the point by now, you need to go for Constellation 9 in order to level up one of your units to level 100. Well, actually, DG, at least they're adding something to the game. This doesn't even affect anyone. As long as they add something that isn't just straight up a net negative, then they can get away with something as egregious as level 100 that requires constellations, because they'll get free defense for it online. When in reality, this kind of feature is even further indication that you mean nothing to them if you're still a free-to-play in 2025. They didn't even dare to add a quote-unquote feature like this in 2021. When you have a mode like Stygian Onslaught that already wanted you to use C6 units, isn't it funny that they created an even higher power ceiling for them to cater to in this game mode? Why are they putting time and resources into this gameplay loop? Because as a late game player, they want the majority of your enjoyment to come from spending money. Let's not act like the Dendro reaction doesn't benefit from a change like this due to your level being a huge portion of your overall damage. Wait, remind me, what limited 5-star is on banner right now?
Open your eyes.
You can't make this shit up. There is literally a Dendro character in your face after one of the most predatory and useless changes of all time that favors Dendro. It's comical that this is not very surprising to me at all, as this is also going to be the best way to promote their new regional exclusive gimmicks. And it's only right that they do this for every single region after this, since this model works and people have accepted the fact that there's nothing wrong with region locked characters. And obviously I don't mean that you can't use the characters from other regions, but Genshin has shown us that they will do everything in their power to make your older characters feel like shit and shove in your face how much easier and fun the new characters are to use. I've thought the same thing about Honkai Star Rail for even longer, and it seems like Genshin has adopted the same model. They want your older characters to feel so bad and outdated to use that it's like they don't want you to have mains. So expect the same thing for Snezhnaya and whatever other region comes after that. Maybe space, I don't know. And fully expect this new Dendro unit to fully rely on Lauma too. Hoyoverse has already given you the pattern that will bring them the most profit. Release the reaction trigger first, and then the DPS that needs said trigger to give you even more FOMO. Imagine being somebody that took a break from Genshin Impact, and a lot of people take breaks because the game is so draining. If you want to take advantage of this new Dendro meta, Nahida is no longer the staple for this reaction. When it used to be pull for Nahida and you had the best Dendro trigger in the game, and she was great for the free-to-play because of that. Now it's you have to pull Lauma. There's no exception. There's no other way around it because she is the trigger for this new reaction that we just made up, being Lunar Bloom. And don't tell me it makes sense lore-wise or whatever. Does the lore also say that you're worthless if you're a free-to-play? Why are we now asking questions like, are Nahida and Yelan still even valuable at this point? Because even a year ago, there would be no discussion that these characters would last forever as value pulls. But now these new units being released are so unbelievably broken that we are now seeing some timeless units being power crept. They don't want you to take breaks. This is the HSR model. And yes, this all comes back to Mauika. Nobody hates her more than I do. She looks good, don't get me wrong. But what she did to Genshin Impact can never be reversed at this point. In order to power creep this unit, they have to inflate HP. They have to create new reactions that do more damage than the old ones. And they have to sell you full premium teams, because otherwise you just use Mauika forever and you'd be content with that. Hoyoverse already sees Mauika as a thing of the past, and they're trying to sell you Nodcry. But what's even more exciting than Nodcry is the new Honkai game that you and me are gonna be playing, am I right?
Huh?
Split the heavens!
Well, it's funny because I think that Hoyoverse just casually advertising their new cash grab is even worse than how bad Genshin has become recently. I'll be honest, I was coping out of my mind about Nexus Anima, thinking that at least somebody cares about this game, but it's become clear to me recently that almost nobody cares. When you have so many people that are emotionally and financially invested into Genshin Impact to this day, it's a little cringe that you're pushing a product that a couple people are going to be playing after the first couple months of this release. Have you ever in your life heard somebody say, yo, are you going to be playing that new Nexus Anima? Most people probably don't even know what the hell that is. So can we focus on what's in front of us? The most insecure company on earth, Game Freak, has already put out a new patent on Pokemon-esque games. So you might as well just shut this whole operation down while you're ahead. Where in the feedback for Genshin did anyone say, you know what? We need a new Honkai game. You might as well go get some of that ZZZ dev team because they're not doing anything important over there. They get to the dev studio and just start pressing buttons. Oh, what does this one do? And then they accidentally make the UI even worse and make the story 15 times more boring than it was in the last patch. At least the Genshin story still has character arcs that can be expanded upon and characters that people actually care about, because otherwise there isn't much else to look forward to, as the storytelling is still pretty awful. I can just show any transitions from the new story quest. It's getting pretty bad. I don't know what else you want me to say. That literally looks like a PowerPoint transition. Why is there random individuals on the internet making better edits than a billion-dollar company? Stop making excuses for them. This is ridiculous. And the storytelling has progressively been getting worse ever since. It's like they're playing into the joke with this awful presentation. Lauma does look good, but could you make it a little less obvious that you're advertising the new units within the story? It's unfortunate that Nodcry seems to be even less than what my expectations were for it, because believe it or not, I actually tried to be optimistic about a Hoyoverse game for once. I know it's crazy. That's crazy. I was motivated for about 20 seconds to actually sit down and play 6.0, but it's clear to me now that Genshin looks great, but that's as far as it goes. I actually think they still have the best looking regions in gacha and the best variety, and you could also see Genshin never truly coming to an end as a good thing too. Yeah, it's set to end within the next 2 years, but let's be honest, this is gonna be a One Piece situation where the story never truly ends. We're talking about Hoyo. When they show you time and time again that all they care about is money, why would Genshin truly come to an end if they're still making $50 million a month consistently? You know what, I'll be honest, if somebody was paying me $50 million a month just to throw out complete garbage every once in a while, then I would keep dishing it out too. Actually, not really. I have too much self-respect to let a game with so much potential go to waste. But anyways, now it's time for your gacha jargon word of the day, and this is another term: skip button. A skip button is an on-screen button that allows a user to bypass a section of content they don't wish to view or engage with. This would be very useful because I would just like to skip everything that Columbina isn't in, because I expect big things from her considering she isn't a male character. So thank you for watching this far if you have, and remember, Genshin does not want to make money. So all of this shit that I've been talking about doesn't even matter. You look cute today, peace.